Sheilas and fellas, Hank is constantly accused of buying the most expensive pre-builts possible and returning them to the store after he has screamed about how bad they are for 20 minutes on YouTube. But today he's going to prove you all wrong. Many weeks ago, using his own money, Hank purchased this HP Omen 45L RTX 5090 with 64 gigabytes of RAM and a 1,200 watt power supply for 3,800 American Rock Flag and Eagle dollars. Now, even though it was an incredible deal, we knew there was no turning back when we got it because HP charges a 15% restocking fee and Hank ain't paying that nonsense, mate. Now, in a perfect world, Hank would just keep the PC as it is and use it as his editing rig, right? I mean, it doesn't look bad and it's specced out the wazoo, but once we have a look under the hood, this PC's a steaming turd burger. It's got this cheapo proprietary motherboard which power limits the Intel Ultra 9 CPU, and the only way to overcome this is to set it to extreme mode and void your warranty. So thanks HP, you dirty dogs. To overcome this today, we are going to completely case and motherboard swap the good components of this PC into this very unique looking PC case sent over to us by Darkflash, which will result in us completely voiding our warranty anyway. What is actually wrong with us? Let's do this thing. So before we get started, we have to salvage the decent components from this HP Omen pre-built. So let's get the graphics card first. We just have to remove the sag bracket like so, take out the screws on the left side, attaching it to the case and say hasta la vista to the 600 watt PSU cable, and there she is, mate. The chonkiest of chonky GPUs in the world. Look how thick this thing is. Now, this GPU is one of the most basic looking you will find, but I think it'll look nice in the case we are throwing it into today. Although I am very worried it might be too large because we are putting it inside a micro ATX case, but we will cross that bridge when we get to it. Next up, this PC came with yes, count them, 4 sticks of RAM, baby. 16 gigabytes each for a total of 64, and it's clocked at 6,000 mega transfers per second, so great stuff on that one, HP. Now, the crazy thing is, looking at this particular kit of RAM in a 2-DIMM configuration, it costs over 1,200 United States mayonnaise sandwiches. So Lord only knows what 4 of these are worth, and you best believe we will cherish this RAM until the end of time. Next up, HP provided us with this M.2, which is encased in a heatsink that looks like it's out of the year 3000 or holds an ancient Egyptian pharaoh. Now, is this heatsink overkill? Absolutely, mate. This is a 2 terabyte Gen 4 drive clocked at about 6,000 megabytes read and write speeds. This does not need all of this nonsense around it, plus we will probably have to remove it later depending upon whether it fits into our motherboard. But anyway, last but not least, we have to grab Intel's highest consumer grade CPU, the Intel Ultra 9 285K. 24 cores and 24 threads of pure productivity and efficiency. Not the best gaming CPU, but mate, we have an RTX 5090 that we are going to be gaming with at 8K resolution using our brand new Samsung Odyssey G9 57-inch monitor that we purchased with our own money and reviewed in a previous episode. So if you're interested, go check that video out after this one. Now, you're probably wondering, what am I doing with the rest of this HP Omen 45-liter case, the motherboard and power supply? And I actually plan to use this case to do an Intel B580 build for this video. Heck, we even purchased the Intel Ultra 225F. This thing is cheap as chips on Amazon at around 130 to 150 bucks depending upon the day of the week, and it ain't bad with its 10 cores and 10 threads. And we also picked up this Intel Arc B580 that we were going to pair it with that cost us 199 bucks open box from Micro Center, which is a pretty crazy deal given that GPU prices are going through the roof. So we were excited to do that, but as we removed the AAO, the standoff for one of them completely snapped inside the mounting screw, so thanks HP, you bums. We can no longer cool our CPU. Can you send one of your techs over here to help us? I don't need help with the AAO, I just want to beat them to a pulp. I hate your company, mate. So we will put that build to the side right now. If you know somewhere I can buy these standoffs, let me know and I will consider revisiting a B580 build in this case because I can't find it anywhere. So the last thing we are going to salvage from this case was the 1200 watt power supply. We ripped it out and here she is, mate. Now, it is 80 plus gold and it has a 600 watt cable needed for our 5090, so I thought, great stuff, mate. This is gonna be perfect. But once again, HP has kicked us straight in the nuts. Despite having 1200 watts of power, this thing only comes with one 8-pin CPU connector when our motherboard takes an 8-pin and a 4-pin. Now, does it really matter if we don't plug the 4-pin in? In most cases, no, it doesn't. But given the Intel Ultra 9 design has a maximum turbo power of 250 watts, it is highly suggested to connect it, and even still, it's the principle, mate. How can you have a 1200 watt PSU and not come with two 8-pin CPU connectors? HP, you can shove this single 8-pin CPU connector up your ass, and this power supply is being yeeted into the Grand Canyon, you bums. I hate you. Alright, breathe, Glizzy man. That HP Omen can't hurt you anymore. Now let's introduce the components for our brand new build, starting with the motherboard. Now I really wanted a challenge with this case swap, and I thought it would be a good idea to throw the largest, most chunkiest GPU into a micro ATX case because my brain is as smooth as eggs. But at the same time, we wanted a motherboard that was good but wasn't going to break the bank, so we are going with this Asus Prime Z890 plus Wi-Fi board, and for a tiny fella, she packs a mighty wallop. PCIe 5 on the GPU and the M.2 unlike 99% of pre-built, Wi-Fi 7, Thunderbolt 4 support on the motherboard header, decent VRMs and heatsinks to keep the Intel Ultra 9 powered, but unfortunately, we have been fooled once again. I read online that this thing has 3 M.2 slots, so I thought, great, get in my cart, mate, but as I look at the motherboard in front of us, I realized that it's like the proprietary garbage given to us by HP. 2 of them are on the front, but 1 of them is on the booty, so I was about to yeet this into the Grand Canyon with the Omen, but you'll see later once we install it into our case, we actually have access to it, so fair enough, mate, we'll take it. But by far, the best thing about this motherboard is it doesn't power limit the Ultra 9 like those scums over at HP, so terrific stuff, mate. Also, looking at the rear I/O, we have 7 USB ports, a 20GB USB-C port, and 2.5GB LAN, and when we compare it to HP Omen's rear I/O, I am actually speechless, mate. This is the worst thing I have ever seen. The final cherry on top for this motherboard is that we got this all for a very nice price of 163 United States bucks, brand new off Amazon, so terrific stuff, mate. So let's start preparing this bad boy, starting with the CPU. Just yeet that thing into the socket with no regard for human life while avoiding any bent pins, then clip her straight into place and you are good to go. Next up, we are throwing in our sarcophagus style M.2 into the top slot, but unfortunately, as I said before, it doesn't fit. So we just have to undo a couple of screws and good lord, now she's naked. Avert your eyes, children. Clip it into the top M.2 slot, screw it down, and Bob's your uncle, mate. Moving on, let's throw our 4 16GB Kingston Fury RAM sticks into all 4 RAM sockets, but be careful, mate. These things are worth more than the RTX 5090. Once they are in, then our board is complete, right? Wrong. It's time to install our AIO mounting brackets, but we have to first introduce the AIO, and we have spared no expense on this one, mate. Introducing for the first time Thermalright's Tropheo Vision 360 ARGB with this enormous screen. Now, as we first unbox it, you will see it doesn't come with ARGB on the actual fan blades, and usually we'd throw 3 Infinity fans onto this thing, but this actually matches our case, so no Infinity fans today. Throw it in reverse, Terry, and let's put the original fans back on. Now, the cool things about these fans is that they're just one solid design, and they are all physically connected and only have one cable needed to connect the power and ARGB, so it makes cable management a breeze. But of course, the main event is the screen, mate. It is completely magnetic, and you can slide it along the AIO pump to position it any way you want, and it's huge. It's almost bigger than my wiener. I'm talking about Hank, mate. Grow up, you losers. So to install the mounting bracket for an Intel CPU, you have this baby right here. Just rip the double-sided tape off, flip the motherboard over, and insert her into the back door. It's easy, just like your mother is. After that, place these blue standoffs on, screw on these 2 mounting brackets, and for the love of God, make sure they are in this orientation, otherwise it will not fit, and just like that, your motherboard is complete. So a quick fade to black, and boom, baby. We have the big 3, and I ain't talking about LeBron, Bosch, and Wade, mate. Oh, no, no, no. We have the best PC building dog to ever live, our completed motherboard, and for the first time ever, the Darkflash Floatron F1 Micro ATX case. Now, FYI, they did send this thing over to Hank, but paid us no money and didn't give us any notes on this thing, so if it was bad, I would say, but look at it, mate. I've never seen anything like this in my life. It comes with 6 ARGB fans, 5 reverse blade to bring air into the case, and a forward blade at the back for exhaust that looks like it's out of the movie Tron. While the outside of the case is white, the inside is completely black, so we can create a sort of panda-like build with our all-black RTX 5090, and it should look pretty sleek. Plus, even though it has a glass front panel, look at the perforations on the back for the airflow. Great stuff, mate. Now, the entire case is completely toolless, so we ripped the back off, and you can see we have plenty room down the bottom to shove our cables once we remove the hard drive case. And as I mentioned, once the motherboard is in, we still have access to that rear M.2 port, so that's a nice change to HP Omen's crappy design. The only downside for this case that I can see is it doesn't have its own ARGB fan hub, where there's a lot of budget cases that are coming with them right now. But to fix that, we will be using this one from Jungle Leopard. It's about $11 to $15 on Amazon any day of the week, and she works fantastic, mate. I put it on all of my builds that need it, including my personal PC. If you want to buy this case, it's currently sold on Amazon and Newegg, ranging from $100 without fans to $169 with 6. So it's a bit of a premium price compared to some of the budget cases we build with, and we will see whether or not it's worth it once the build is done. So thanks for sending the case over, Darkflash, but now it's time to see if we can yam the RTX 5090 in there alongside the AIO with that huge ass screen. So you can see we have chucked the motherboard in as hard as humanly possible and started screwing it in, and as you can see down the bottom, there is still plenty of room to bring the cables through despite the 3 fans being down there, so that's a great touch. So once it's in all nice and secure, a quick snap of the fingers and we have the 360mm AIO installed, and it fits as snug as a bug in a rug, mate, despite it being a micro ATX case. Now all we need to do is put a tiny bit of thermal paste onto the Intel Ultra 9, and whoops, a bit too much there, but we're just gonna run with that. For God's sakes, remove the protective sticker off the AIO pump. Your PC will still run if you leave it on, but it will idle close to 100 degrees and it will be on the brink of explosion when playing games, so don't forget, mate. Then screw the AIO pump down each side little by little, then throw on the long ass screen, and just like that, we are ready for the most intense part of the video: insertion of the world's largest RTX 5090 into a micro ATX case. I am so nervous. Let me just quickly grab my magic cape and bring in the Glizzy for his expert opinion, and look at it, mate. He is literally shorter than HP's RTX 5090. This is crazy. Now, in a previous video, we had someone calling Hank an idiot for spinning the blades on the fan manually with the GPU turned off, as it can potentially destroy it, and let me just say, shut up, mate. If Hank wants to potentially ruin his $4,000 RTX 5090 so he can have a cool shot of the fans turning, then let him do it, you loser. So make sure when you go to insert this thing, do it with one hand. Is it safe? Absolutely not, mate, but is it cool? Also, no, I don't know why we do it. We are actually an idiot, but even still, we got it in, and goodness gracious me, look at the clearance between the bottom intake fans and the GPU. This would be a cave diver's wet dream, but in terms of length, this RTX 5090 has plenty of room. Screw the GPU into the case, grab your 600-watt PSU cable. Now, some people hate using these things because there have been cases of them melting, but she should be right, mate. Just throw it in like so, and... So it's time to turn this thing on, and I am not gonna lie, I love how it turned out. Now, unfortunately, the GPU is sagging a bit, but we don't have any sag brackets on hand that will actually fit inside this case, so don't judge me, mate. If you want to be helpful, link me something in the comments that I can use for the future in this build, but other than that, I think we just need to get a couple of firm handshakes and a spin from Hank, and we can turn it on. My God, he is amazing, but not nearly as amazing as the PC case. Look at it, mate. Well, you can't really see it right now because his long R body is in the way, but get ready for a jump scare in 3, 2, 1. And great heavens, mate, Hank's ugly mug is already on the LCD screen. Can you please move so the viewers can look at the PC, you dumbass sausage? There we go, mate, and I am not gonna lie, I love how this turned out. The fans look like something out of the year 7000, mate, and match the ARGB on the RTX 5090 logo perfectly. Plus, I think it complements the black interior great relative to the white exterior. However, if we switch this to ARGB puke, it looks absolutely disgusting. This is not a build build for ARGB Puke, mate. If we look at it in green, it actually looks pretty cool, but I think the ARGB that we have to go with is white because it looks amazing. Moving to the inside of the case, I love the screen and the ability to be able to move it to the left or right, and it's just the right size to get Hank's face on there while showing the CPU and GPU temperatures. Plus, in this photo, you can see the Tums I have on the bedside table for when I get an upset tummy. Now, we did stress test this baby under 100% load using Firmark for 30 minutes, and you can see the GPU stays under 70 degrees quite easily despite barely fitting into the case. Moving on to the CPU temperatures, and they're also amazing when running it under 100% load as well, so the Thermalright AIO is doing its job as per usual. In terms of the benchmarks, it runs exactly the same as the Omen despite the power limited CPU, so go check them out in a previous video. The link is down below or will be in the top right corner at the end if you're interested, but let me know. Was it worth case swapping the components from the old HP to this unique tiny boy? Honestly, in terms of performance, don't bother, but if you're doing it for aesthetics, in my opinion, this case is a breath of fresh air from all of the Fish Tank Infinity builds we do, so I 100% think it was worth it. So if you are looking for something different that isn't too large but has plenty of room to build in, then I think this is well worth the $169 for the case off Amazon and Newegg. But if you think this is a monstrosity and looks like trash and Hank is ugly, meet me at 308 Negra Arroyo Lane, Albuquerque, New Mexico, and we can have a fist fight. Me and the weenie love ya. Goodbye.